So there were a couple of concepts that I wanted to share with you. I'll start a new file. No, I won't. I'll leave it here. That's fine. I'm just going to come over to the side right there and show you something. So there's a couple of neat things I want to show you. One of them is called lofting. And the best way for me to explain it is simply to draw something here. So I'm going to take a rectangle and I'll draw a rectangle on the ground like this. And I'm going to take another rectangle and draw that one on the ground here and make it about that big. And then I'm going to take that rectangle and move it up like that. I'll draw one more and it'll go right here like this. And I'll take that one and I'm going to move it up even higher. So now I have these three rectangles in space. And what I'd like to do is generate a shape based on these three rectangles. I'm going to use a command and it's called loft. So I'm going to type L-O-F-T. So loft and enter. And it says select curves to loft. Remember, these are known as curves. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to select this one, then that one, and then that one, and then enter. And then it tells me drag seam point to adjust, but I don't want to drag anything. I want it to begin there and then continue. So I'm going to enter and I get this shape. Now, here are the loft options that it's showing me. Style is normal. And there's a lot of options here, but I don't want to play with the options. I just want to leave it alone. I will try to do a closed loft. Look at the shape that it's going to generate there. Maybe not. Turn that off. Split at tangents. What does that do? Not sure. Align curves. There's a lot you can do, but for now, I'll leave it alone. And I'll go ahead and just click OK. So it generates this shape based on those three lofts. And I'll take that shape now and I'll bring it over here. And notice it still leaves those behind. So that's lofting. And then when I take a look at this, it's hollow on the inside. And here's where I can use that cap command. So I'll select my object and I'll type CAP, enter. And it does cap it at the top and at the bottom. So that's using loft. Now, that's keeping it simple, but now I want to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to draw a rectangle over here like this. I'm going to draw a circle somewhere here going out that way. And then let's find another shape. I don't know. A circumscribed polygon. Yeah, why not? All right. Number of sides. It's currently set to 5. Maybe I'll change that to 8. I'll pick it right here. Take it out about that far. And now my select tool here, I'll take this rectangle, move it up to the middle there. I'll take that circle, move it up this way. What happens if I loft that? I don't know. Trying it. Loft, this shape, that shape, enter. And it's trying to find a start point, and that's okay. And you can always manipulate the start points if you want. I believe I can move this one over here, kind of line it up, and then go ahead and enter. And it creates this really interesting shape. Again, that one is normal. What happens if I change it to loose, tight, straight sections, which I should have done with the previous one, maybe, uniform, whatever you'd like to pick, and then click OK. Those are the shapes that get generated, which are really interesting. I went a little overboard here with this one, just to give you an example of what is possible with Rhino. And now I'm curious. I want to come back over here and loft this. 1, 2, 3. And enter. And if I switch that to loose versus tight, versus straight sections. There we go. I think that's what I wanted the last time. Yeah. These are the different results I can get. So Rhino's giving me a lot of options to pick from, because there's an understanding that I may not want that straight edge profile. I may want those curves. So these are things you can play around with and practice. That's the loft command. And then I capped it. But the other thing you can also do, since you already have the shapes there, you can always take those shapes and use a command called planar surface. So I'll type planar surface. Sorry, I'll go back here. And I rather find the command and click on it. And it's like, and it asks me to select planar curves to build surface. All right, I'll pick this one and enter. So it creates that planar surface. I can then move it. Hang on a second. I like to select my objects and then type move. I'll pick it from this intersection over to that intersection. And in a way, I have capped it, but this planar surface and this object here, they're still separate from each other. And then I still have the bottom open. But at this point, I can still select all those objects and I can join them here. And it is now one. And I can still continue to cap this. So I can pick it and I should be able to cap. There we go. And like I did before, I could have capped both top and bottom. All right, that's one command I wanted to show you. That is your loft command. And then I just quickly showed you planar surface. And then the last thing I want to show you is something called split face. And this is, again, to help you generate shapes. So let's say, for example, and we may be doing this later on in the semester. Let's say, for example, I want to start with a shape like this, and I'd like to show this as a conceptual mass of a apartment building in Chicago. And I know that an apartment building in Chicago, it has a roof, and the roof has a peak. So I'd like to be able to draw that peak here. So I'm going to use a command called split face. So I'm going to type split, and there it is, split face. And it asks me to select a face to split. So I can pick this face right here and then enter. And now it says select or start of split axis. And then in parentheses there, I could actually pick curves that I have in my model, but I don't have any right now. So I want to begin my split right here at this midpoint. And I click on it and I take it all the way across this way. And it doesn't matter where I end. I just want that straight line to go all the way through. And I click on it. And then enter when done. There we go. I start with a cube because I introduced that split. This now becomes a closed poly surface. And now I hold down Control Shift. I pick this edge right here, poly surface edge. And then I can take that up like this. A little too high. Give me a second. Somewhere there. And that's how I can introduce that peak. So split face is the command. And now watch this, just to get a little crazy. And also, for those of you that have 170 and you learned about SketchUp, in SketchUp, all I had to do was draw a line right down the middle here, and that divided it, you know. But with Rhino, it's a little different. So I'll do a split face again. Select the face to split this one, enter. Start axis somewhere here, end axis somewhere there, and then enter, done. And now I can hold down Control Shift, pick that surface, and bring it out like this. But look at what it did. It brings everything out. It doesn't just separate it out. So here's the fix to that. Edit, undo. What you have to do is hold down Control Shift, click on the surface, and then this dot right here, instead of using the green arrow, pick the dot on the green arrow and drag that out. And that will bring out that shape. And now, of course, you've added to it, you know, you've made it a little bit more of a complex shape, and that's okay. So I guess what I'm trying to do is show you how I would do this in Rhino, as opposed to doing it in SketchUp, because in SketchUp it goes much quicker. But here I have to use split face to achieve those results. And then, What else could I do? What else could I do? Well, let me draw a rectangle right about here. Let's see, is it going to snap to that intersection? But it's also facing up. I want to do it in the, give me 1 second. I'm going to take this object and isolate. There we go. And then go back to this view like this. I'm going to type zoom for Z, SA, enter. There we go. And now I'm going to click off of it. And then just to make sure I'm on the right surface, I'm going to hold down Control Shift and click on this surface. There we go. That tells me it's the right view right there. So I'll begin to draw a rectangle from this corner and then take it up. And I'll just put it right here for now. There we go. Now back to my perspective view. And let's see, split face. Select a face to split, this one, enter. And now, because I want to use this whole rectangle, I click on curves. Select split curve. That one, enter. Done. Now the curve is still there. See that? I don't need it anymore, so I can discard it. So I'll hit delete. But now if I hold down Control Shift, I have that shape. And then if I pull it out with my red axis, notice how it's going to drag it all out and deform. And it's pretty cool. Not bad. But I don't want that. At least not right now. Hold down Control Shift again, select that face, and now use the red dot, bring it out so that it extrudes this out. And now it generates that shape, more of a rectangular shape that I wanted. And then I'll just go ahead and show everything else. And that's it. Done. So recap, I used Loft. And then I showed you quickly how to create a planar surface. And then I just now used that split face command to generate this change to that one cube. So hopefully those commands will help you along the way as you're generating your shapes. Because so far, all I had done was really just show you how to manipulate surfaces, how to manipulate edges, and then how to manipulate the vertices. But now we can do a little bit more than that. Any questions?
No.
All right, then I will stop the recording. Thank you.